Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the Conquering Together podcast. This is about a father-son's journey through divorce and life issues in general. We're just trying to figure it out, and we believe that everyone has a story behind who they are and the person that they've become. And our goal is to just share our story and hopefully help people along the way that can resonate with our story in any kind of way. So I think the best place to start is just kind of to introduce who we are and how we became the people we are today. So how was your childhood growing up? Just fill me in.
I mean, my childhood was just like, anybody else. The only difference is I did not have a dad. He left 3 months before I was born. And so, I really never knew him. I knew him, I visited him, but as in terms of daily in my life, he wasn't really around. It was more like visiting a friend than a dad. Although we did do dad, father-son things, it was just like a summer vacation or a winter vacation, just depending on the time of the year I went to go see him. So yeah. When I was 3 years old, I moved from Belleville, Illinois to Murray, Kentucky. And I believe, I'm actually not really sure, but I believe I only saw him 2 weeks out of the year. I can't remember. Could be wrong on that. But yeah, it'd be during the summertime or during the wintertime. And then I'd just be there. But I wouldn't always be with him because he was an alcoholic. He would go out and drink and sometimes leave me with grandparents. In fact, I remember one night I said, "Dad, you coming back?" And he goes, "Yeah, I will." And I said, "I'm not going to stay here, right?" He goes, "Nope." Well, he didn't come back till the next morning. So, that's kind of how my childhood was. And just trust me, we had a lot of fun. We would go to Six Flags in St. Louis. We go to the zoo. I was a crazy little kid and whatnot. There was one time I do remember this. I was sitting on his shoulders and he was sitting there smoking a cigarette, and I was doing something like crazy on his shoulders just because I was fidgety. I'm ADD. Right. So I went forward and boom, he burnt me in the eye with the cigarettes.
So that's the one thing you remember.
I do remember that, yeah, vividly. And apparently I do remember white powdered donuts because I'm a fat man and I love to eat. So yeah, white powdered donuts. I was little and I was on a train. I remember those things. But yeah, we'd go to the St. Louis Zoo. We would go to Cardinals. St. Louis Cardinals, born and bred a St. Louis Cardinals fan. So I love the St. Louis Cardinals. It was really cool because I got to go see like Ozzie Smith, Terry Pendleton, Willie McGee, all these legendary people. But I don't remember them because all I wanted was the nachos. That's all I cared about. I didn't care about anything else. Just give me nachos. Yeah. But yeah, no, we had fun. But like I said, as in terms of a dad, he wasn't there. He didn't teach me how to drive. That was my uncle and my mom. Mm-hmm. He didn't teach me. He didn't help me in school. That was my uncle and my mom and my brother. Mm-hmm. And my cousins, because they all just basically got frustrated with me because I was that bad of a student. I couldn't pay attention. Again, ADD, can't pay attention. But yeah, he wasn't around.
Yeah.
Wasn't around.
Yeah, so your childhood's filled with a lot of fun moments, times where he's more of a friend, and obviously a lot of time of you eating good food.
Definitely eating good food.
Was full of good
Definitely
food.
Love food.
The powdered donuts.
The powdered donuts.
But I'd say, so since you didn't have this like dependable father figure in your life, then there are probably areas that affected you. And what would you think that, in what ways did that affect you?
Like how? What do you mean?
So when you'd probably have to learn something about life lessons.
Oh yeah, definitely.
about that.
I had to learn it from a woman's perspective sometimes. But I did have male figures in my life. But I mean, do you really want to tell like people who are not family? I mean, they were family. They were my uncles. We talked about it in the last episode. My uncles and my next door neighbor, Dr. Green, were my father figures. But you know, it just was weird. So, I mean, my confidant, my person, my go-to person about life was my mom. And so she had to take that father role on. And, you know, wasn't really fair to her.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And I find that the disconnect between masculine figures that you could have in your life and the father, that the actual role of a father that he would play is, the father has an unconditional love for you. Yeah. And these masculine figures, you know, they might have love for you, they might have tough love, but a lot of the times that as a young kid you need the tough love, not the tough love, you need the unconditional love that uplifts you in the times that you might need it most. So yeah, I find that that's the disconnect there.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, you're so right. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, my mom did an amazing job. I mean, trust me, and she disciplined me. She has I don't know if she probably still has the paddle. I don't remember the verse that it is, but it's a paddle about that thick, and it has a Bible verse on it. It's something about disciplining your child. I probably had that thing engraved on my behind a few times. But, I mean, you're right. You know, there is, what's the word I would be looking for? There's something about having a dad and a mom in your life. They don't have to be married, but they need to be consistent because it helps shape you as a kid to have that, because that's just the way it is. I mean, you need that. You need to have a father and a mother in your life to help balance you out. I mean, I was raised by two women, my mom and my grandma.
Yeah.
But I always felt feminine because I couldn't connect with guys. I just couldn't. Yeah. Not only was I raised by two women, and I have to say it was my mom and grandma, because my mom sometimes gets a little embarrassed. She's like, well, you're going to think something. I'm like, no, that's not what I'm meaning. But not that there's anything wrong with that. By the way, cut that out. No, I also had 7 cousins who were like my sisters. So, I mean, I was surrounded by women. Yeah. Strong, independent women who, I mean, I look up to. They're amazing. But in terms of a male figure in my life, the only person I had was my brother. That's it. And my uncles and my next door neighbor. But like in my life consistently, as in we were always around him, because I had an uncle. We did go visit. You know, he lived right down the road from us. But then I had another uncle, Uncle Steve. He was in Kansas City, Missouri, and then of course Dr. Green, my next door neighbor. But in terms of like in the house, yeah, it's just my brother.
Yeah. Well, since you went through that, what do you think is the best way? Say a lot of people might not even have access to a direct father in their life. Some people have to just make do with what they have. What do you think is the best way to have a balance of a masculine perspective and also appreciating your mom? How do they balance that out when it might not even be directly accessible to them? Because, I mean, you said it's so important, So
It is important. You know, I mean, go find an older guy and just sit down and talk to him. Find wisdom. He's gonna give it to you.
yeah,
I mean, I love sitting down with people older than me and be like, just tell me what's going on with you. What have you been through?
yeah,
Because they've been in our shoes. Every guy has been in the same boat. I've not met one that has not gone through similar struggles.
right,
And to talk about that, to learn from that, to know you're not alone means a lot. It means a ton
yeah,
to a guy. We just don't open up
right,
because we're conditioned not to. So
I think that's the limiting factor for most people is they have access to it and they can get it, but they have to come to terms with that within themselves.
Yeah.
They got to open up first.
Yeah.
And then there's a world of people out there that will care for you, even though a lot of the times it doesn't seem that way. There's a world of people that will care for you and pour into you and help you out through whatever you're going through, but they just have to open up in the first place, right?
Definitely. I mean, you know, as a guy, like I said, we're conditioned not to really share our feelings. You know, we're always told to basically rub some dirt on it, man up, stop acting like a baby.
Yep.
You know, just because we're, you know, crying or there's something hurting inside of us. I mean, I don't feel any less masculine than another guy. I mean, I love to shoot guns. I love fast cars. I like going hiking. But guess what? I also take dance lessons. I love tattoos, by the way, too. I have several of them. I love to cook. I mean, what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with those things. And I also can talk about my feelings.
Yeah.
Is it fun? No. Is it therapeutic? Yes. Because I grew up in a family that was very open. They wanted to talk about their feelings. They wanted to talk about the things that they were going through. Because why? We could help each other through that.
Yeah.
We could be there for each other. And was very, very wonderful to have. That we got to experience. I got to experience a place of safety and comfort to express what I was going through. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So you were very conditioned to be in a healthy place with your emotions because you were around so many women, and women tend to be so much better than men at, you know, understanding their emotions and dealing with them the right way. And so that's something that has shaped you. You're very in touch with your emotions, and a lot of guys, I think, you know, can learn from that to understand themselves better in that being emotional is not a emasculating thing. And I think that there's a lot to learn from that. But so you missed out on a father in your life, and did that in some way play a role in you wanting to become a father?
Definitely. I mean, you know, my mom taught me how to play some baseball, but she also when I got to a level where she couldn't teach me anymore. She would actually pay people to teach me, and whatnot, and you know, so I'm sitting here and thinking, I can't wait to be a dad because I want to teach my kids how to play sports, because I love sports. Absolutely love sports. I played soccer growing up. I played baseball. Was very bored with it.
Yeah.
But wanted to play football, but mom said no.
Right.
She didn't want the broken bones. She didn't want to pay for that. But no, I mean, that was, it was just such a thing that I was like, I can't wait to do that. I can't wait. I can't wait to teach my kids how to drive. I can't wait to be there for them in the times of need, because I saw that my uncles do that. That was so amazing that they would their kids would go to them for advice. And I was just like, wow, I can't wait to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I definitely had a passion to be a dad with it, because I grew up without one. Definitely.
Okay. And so you had all these expectations of becoming a dad, and you had all these desires and everything. And how did that actually relate to becoming a dad? Because obviously eventually you became a dad. I am your son, but I was not the firstborn.
No, you were
had
not.
A daughter
No,
before
you were
me.
not.
But what was the reality like when you actually did become a dad compared to what you were thinking?
I didn't realize how much sleep you don't get.
Right.
Because I love to sleep. I mean, there were so many things. I learned how to change a diaper. Had no clue how to change a diaper. Wow. That was interesting. But in terms of being a dad the way I wanted it to be, I have to say, unfortunately, I think through those early years, I had glimpses of the dad I wanted to be, but I really wasn't the dad I wanted to be.
What do you mean by that?
I wanted to be a dad that showed love, compassion, and earned the respect of my kids, to where I didn't have to be the bad guy all the time.
Yeah.
And lay down the law. And I think that goes that way with every parent, because I've talked to, so many parents will be like, we don't want to be the bad guy, but you have to. And I didn't know how to handle that. I didn't know how to handle being the bad guy. And there are, as clearly you can remember, I probably went overboard being the bad guy a lot. And that is something I regret and I have to live with. Because I didn't know how to do that. That's the one thing I didn't know, because I had nobody teach me to do it. So I just did what I thought was right.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't. But I wanted to be present.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, because you were there.
Mm-hmm.
I felt I at least was present in a lot of moments, but there were definitely moments where I was not. What do you think?
In my perspective, I think that just thinking early childhood, yes, I definitely had a dad in early childhood, and I had a lot of access to things that you probably didn't have access to because you didn't grow up with a dad. And you were there in important moments. You were there to push me to say do good in school or do good in sports, or to have fun and show your child a good time. And I think that there were sometimes though that, and it's hard to obviously do that as a dad. I'm aware of the fact that you need to be there emotionally for your kid all the time. And I wouldn't say that it affected me so much because I was so young and I don't see the direct effects of it. But I feel like sometimes we just needed a little bit more emotional affirmation and support from a dad. in times where maybe you couldn't give it to us because you weren't in that place yourself. And that might be the perspective on it. Maybe you were having a rough time trying to be, I guess, the emotional rock for the family.
I was, but that's not an excuse. I should.
Right. No, and of course, there's always ways we can grow. I'm being very critical about it. Realistically, it didn't. I don't think it made as big of an impact as you would probably think it did.
Okay. I appreciate that.
And so, yes, I think that there was obviously times that you fell short, but there's understanding. I mean, the children need to understand that your parents are just human too, and that they're going to always mess up.
How to be a parent.
Exactly, they're always going to mess up. And I mean, there's a saying that I love to hear all the time. It's like, cut your parents some slack because they're living life for the first time too. Yep. And I think that everyone should have that perspective that not everything that they're going to tell you is going to be right, and not everything that they're going to do for you is going to fulfill your needs, but cut them some slack and be grateful for what they do offer you. So I can sit here and be grateful right now that not only did you give me a great childhood, supporting me with a roof over my head, and with things that I enjoyed, such as sports and hobbies, and giving me a lot of sacrifice that I can, just sit and reminisce on the things that you would have to sacrifice from holidays and Christmas and
good grief, we drove everywhere.
and time invested in us, and making sure we were enjoying ourselves. So I can sit here and be grateful for that, and not condemn you for any of the times that I felt like, oh, I might have needed something different here or anything. I think that I
appreciate that.
Yeah. So that's my perspective on kind of your role in my early childhood, for sure.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. So cool. And do you think that your role as a father, did you improve on that as you went through, or was there a slope
through the divorce, or just in life in general?
As we got older, do you think you did better or worse?
Well, we can definitely say I didn't. There's a couple moments in time I did not do well.
Right.
I did not handle them well. I think after those moments, I definitely, I definitely did better.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I tried to do better.
So you would learn from your failures.
Definitely, 100% learn from my failures.
That's good.
Have to. If you don't, then what are we doing here?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think that's such a good thing that I'm grateful to have, because there's a lot of things that you can hear about maybe 20 years after it would happen, then a father in someone's life will still not admit that he did anything wrong to the kids in the way that he raised them or treated them. And there's a lot of fathers out there that would not take the time to reflect that they actually did something wrong. So if you're over here learning from your failures, accepting that you did fail, and trying to do better, I think that's
probably more than you think, though. There's more than you think. A lot of dads, we beat ourselves up.
Yeah.
We beat ourselves up. But we don't want to admit it.
Yeah.
Because that's weakness.
Yeah. So how do you get away from that mindset that it's weakness? How did you do it?
How did I do it?
Yeah.
I embraced the pain.
Right.
No, I had to humble myself. I had to just basically say, I suck as a dad. That's kind of where I had to go. And how do I get better? Had to ask for help.
Yeah.
Had to step back and say, did I really do the right thing? Even though I thought it was the right thing, did I do the right thing? I had to listen. I had to shut up and stop trying to justify my actions and just listen. That's how the only way I could get better.
Yeah. I think that's a super important thing that you just said. Stop trying to justify it and just to be humble about it. That's a really hard thing to do. To just say, well, I messed up. No further discussion. I'm not going to justify exactly why I did it. So that's a hard thing to learn. Do you think that happened and you really learned how to do that before the divorce, or did that come into play just
that was
during and after?
Okay. That was after divorce.
That was
after divorce, yeah. After a lot of stuff, I had to learn. Definitely after the incident with you and I.
Yeah.
I had to learn. I had to learn a different way to parent.
Yeah.
The way I parented, and I had a friend kind of tell me the way I parented when I met with him. And I'm like, no, that's not what I'm meaning. And he goes, this is how I parent. And I didn't really quite understand it. It took my therapist to actually speak to me the way I could receive it, for me to really grasp what was going on.
So you're saying you didn't know exactly the way you were impacting us, and
I had no clue. I thought, I'm your dad. You do what I say. Mm-hmm. If you do what I say, then what's the problem? It makes no sense. We can get along.
Yeah. And was that coming from a place of just you are the authority, and that the kid, if he's following what you're saying, then that's the best way for the kid to learn? And
it was some of that, but honestly, it was more of, you're a kid, you're trying to learn how to navigate life.
Yeah.
Watch me, listen to me, and I'll help. And I actually had someone once tell me, Jared, nobody likes to be told what to do. You gotta stop. And that hit, and I was like, you're right. I don't like to be told. Nobody likes to be told what to do. They want, and so how do you teach somebody yet tell somebody what to do? Well, you listen to them, you give them choices, and then you lead them to the right path. And I was like, that is so awesome. I'm like, man, I wish I had this 20-something years ago. It would have been so much better.
Yeah. When exactly did you learn this?
2019.
2019. So a few years after the incident, and we given a couple sneak peeks on that there is an incident, and it's the reason why we're here today.
It is.
Yeah, so I think that's a good thing to come back to. So a quick recap, we know why you wanted to become a father and how you got to the point of the way that you raised us. And for me, I definitely, you were present in my life. There were times that I couldn't fully grasp the respect for you a lot. I think as a kid, I think it was
hard to when I'm yelling at you.
Right, for sure. I think for me, I'm very. And I know this now, that I'm very receptive to positive affirmation, and that's something that I think you took a while to also understand about me. And that's why I could never find the respect for you, because I thought that I wasn't being loved, because that's not the way I was receiving love from a parent.
Yeah, no. Took me losing you to figure that, to really hone in on that, because it was so interesting. You remember when I traveled all the time?
Yeah.
And you were on a baseball team, and I would text your mom, how's he doing? And she's like, he just hit a double. I'm like, oh my gosh, why am I missing this? Like, I was so distraught. I was like torn between, trying to provide for the family, keep a job, even though I didn't want to travel 5 days a week. Just turned into that. And I wanted to be there at those moments. It was then I started realizing maybe I'm causing you to not do so well. But then I met the coach, and I started realizing, oh, well, he's positively affirming you. But the problem was, it didn't connect.
Yeah.
I didn't make that connection. Oh, I need to do that to you. Because in 2019, when my friend told me that, I started realizing, wow, I really screwed up.
Yeah.
I really did not. I missed the mark. And I was just dying for another chance to make up for it.
Yeah.
I was able to do it with your brothers, but I wasn't able to do that with, you and your sister.
Right.
And I regretted that a lot.
Yeah, I think though we can look at everything in our life, the fact that you were able to learn from that mistake. Of course, we can't control the past, but we can be grateful that we can change the present and the course of the future. So the fact that you were able to learn that, and then by the grace of God, given another chance to fix that. I mean, I'm glad that you were given that chance, because now you're able to learn from that mistake, the multiple year mistake of parenting wrong.
Definitely.
Hey, all we can look at is, in this moment, we are here, and you are doing it the right way, for the most, at least attempting to.
I learned it the hard way.
Attempting to, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. And
kind of the story of my life, learning the hard way, actually.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
And I think that just the fact that it was so hard for me to get the respect for you when I was younger. You say often that respect, love for men comes through a lot of respect.
Correct.
And of course, on the other end of the stick, the fact that I didn't respect you, you didn't feel like I loved you, and you didn't feel like you played a good role you weren't getting that role of a father in the right way, because I wasn't respecting you.
And you know what? It's really funny. I was just sitting here thinking about it. As an old coworker of mine named Tony McClure, my first job, we had little sayings kind of in our little office area, and it says, respect is earned, not given.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I had to earn your respect by giving you that. Giving love the way, and encouraging you the way you receive it. Because I couldn't do that, you couldn't respect me. Because you couldn't respect me, I didn't feel loved.
Yeah.
It's just, we failed together. We did not conquer together then.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And that's why we can positively say that we are on that path of conquering now. And so I think this led to a big problem in our relationship, the disconnect that we had there that really didn't get fixed
Nope.
before the incident. So I forever had a lasting just no respect for you, and of course you didn't know how to affirm me and to give me what I needed. So this definitely brewed up over time. And about what would you think the date was on this?
Oh, the incident?
Yes, about the year, month.
I know it wasn't April. I think it was March 2018.
March 2018. Okay.
Wasn't it? I want to say it was. I'm pretty sure.
I'm not good with dates, so I will believe you on that one.
It could have, yeah. It was basically what I do remember is that the divorce was finalized in January.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had already had like our, kind of regular time and whatnot. But then now the divorce was finalized. And so now it's like, okay, now we're, in the divorced era trying to figure that out and how that all goes out. And it was basically you were only there for like a few months.
Yeah.
And then you were not.
Yeah. So
if you liked what you heard, we'd appreciate a like, share, or subscribe. We hope it helps you today as much as it does us. Whether you're on the uphill or downhill, you are not alone. Until next time, and keep conquering together.